Another Arctic front is headed our way and could make for a wintry weekend. I've got a look at the newest timing for mixed chances and the bitter cold coming with it.
Alienation of affection. A local woman sues a former U.S. senator for allegedly breaking up her marriage. Coming up, the details that are coming to light in this lawsuit.
And UNC Board of Trustees member John Pryor resigns. If you're not sure who that is or what to make of it, you might not be alone. We'll head down to Murph's turf to discuss the legacy he leaves behind. All righty, snow lovers, listen close. This weekend is one to watch. I won't get your hopes up too much, but winter weather will be in play. Thank you for joining us here at 7 o'clock. I'm Dan Haggerty, meteorologist Kat Campbell in the Severe Weather Center, giving us a look at, I guess, what we're looking at here, Kat.
So I just got in the new models this evening, the new European, the new American, and our new in-house weather models, and everything's coming together. It's converging on a solution. There's no more models that say no snow and some that have a lot of snow. It's coming together more where some winter weather is possible in our northwestern counties and a cold rain in our southeastern counties. The faster arrival of the precipitation will affect the precip types. I'll show that to you in a minute. The key here, it looks like a low impact winter weather event. Saturday is when the cold front gets here. There could be a few sprinkles that swing through early in the day Saturday. A heads up there, the cold front slowly pushes to the east, but low pressure may track inland a little bit more. So this starts out Sunday morning with perhaps enough cold air from Raleigh points north for there to be some snow. It may be more of a rain-snow mix around Raleigh and south and east of Raleigh. You're kind of right on the line per usual in Raleigh. Mostly cold rain on all of the new models tonight. We see a similar setup toward 3 o'clock. Maybe the mixing line pushes a little bit further to the south, and this all moves out of here by Sunday evening. As for that rain snow line and where there could be some light snow, this is the latest thinking of where that line may set up, but even the light dusting of snow may not stick depending on the temperatures where you are. I'll have a closer look at temperatures and Futurecast overlaid coming up.
All right, we'll talk to you then. Thank you, Kat. All right, how about this story? A former U.S. senator from across the country is now getting taken to court in Moore County, accused of ruining her bodyguard's marriage. Kirsten Sinema from Arizona faces an alienation of affection lawsuit from her bodyguard's ex-wife. The woman claims her husband cheated on her with Sinema and then led to their divorce. It's the latest high-profile lawsuit that we've seen with a case like this. WRAL's Heidi Kirk is joining us live to break down the details, what we have in the documents. Heidi.
Well, Dan, as you mentioned, Heather Amell filed what is called an alienation of affection lawsuit, and they're pretty unique. In fact, there's only a few states in which you can file something against someone for getting involved in your marriage. Now, not only are they somewhat rare, but they can also be very hard to prove.
In the lawsuit, Heather Amell alleges that Sinema interfered with her marriage by seducing and having sex with her husband, Matthew Amell. He served as a security guard for Sinema and later as a member of her Senate staff, regularly accompanying her to events. According to the complaint, Sinema sent him racy pictures of herself and other messages that, quote, exceeded the bounds of a normal working relationship. She also alleges that Sinema encouraged her husband to bring illicit drugs on a work trip so that Sinema could, quote, guide him through a psychedelic experience. Heather Amell says Sinema's actions destroyed her marriage.
Now, we did, of course, reach out to Sinema's lawyer. We haven't heard back. We also reached out to a lawyer for Matthew Amell. We also have not heard back. We will continue to follow up on this. Heidi Kirk, WRAL News, live in Raleigh.
Oh, man, these cases, they air a lot of personal details. We appreciate the report, Heidi. Now, you may remember a story like this before us because we have had high-profile alienation of affection cases in our area. One last November, there was a TikTok influencer ordered to pay $1.7 million for breaking up a Durham couple's marriage. It was a whole thing, a case in civil court. Akira Montague accused Brene Kennard of having an affair with her ex-husband, Tim. He was Kennard's manager and now is her husband. Montague claims that Kennard broke up their marriage, causing her mental anguish and depriving her kids of a two-parent household, and the jury agreed with a lot of money on the line. Alienation of affection cases are really quite a scene. Their history goes back like thousands of years to 105 BC, but they first popped up in the U.S. in 1866. Fast forward to today, and almost every state has a ban on these types of lawsuits, but North Carolina is just one of 8 states that still allow them. Efforts to ban them here have always failed. Now, keep in mind, alienation of affection cases rarely make it as far as the one we saw in Durham. The burden of proof is awfully high, and the statute of limitations is strict. It is a difficult option, but it is an option, at least here in North Carolina. Tonight, we are getting a deeper look at a story that we broke here at 7 o'clock last night. UNC board member John Pryor is out. He was one of the key players in bringing football coach Bill Belichick to Chapel Hill. He was also a big voice in our latest documentary, revisiting a year that no one associated with UNC athletics will ever forget. Take a listen to what he told us when we asked if he thought that decision to bring Belichick in here stood.
Yeah, I mean, what the hell? If I'm wrong, screw you all, right? I mean, I tried, right? I mean, like, why can't we be great at football?
So this is a person who had a lot of influence, but not someone that the average person likely even knew was doing what he was doing. So why should you care? Well, we got an answer over at Murph's Turf. Hey, Murph.
Hey, Dan, how are you?
Good, man. So John Pryor has resigned, to which a lot of our viewers are going, who? Which makes sense, because a board of trustees at universities across the country typically don't get any fanfare. They operate behind the scenes, but UNC, it's a bit different.
Yeah, John Pryor was the former chairman of the board of the UNC Board of Trustees. That term ended in July, and now he's just been a member of the board. And he resigned last week, and one of the reasons we're even talking about it is because of his role in the hire of Bill Belichick. But the UNC board, and Pryor in particular, have had their hands in lots of things. The School of Civic Life and Leadership at UNC, he's really changed the way the budget process goes. The board at UNC seems to get their fingers into a lot of things that other boards just simply don't deal with.
Now, we've heard different people kind of weigh in on this. One of those people was the governor. Josh Stein has also talked about the kind of political nature of this board, and you kind of touched on a few of those just a moment ago.
Yeah, the board is assigned by, or the people are chosen for the board by the Board of Governors, which is all appointees of Republican lawmakers at this point, and the General Assembly, which is run by Republicans at this point. And so I think there's been some ideological clashes with the Board of Trustees at UNC versus the school, which the school has a reputation as being very left-leaning. Its faculty, in particular, is seen as liberal, whereas the board is seen as a bit more conservative. And we've seen that boil up on issues like public safety, on protests on campus. The School of Civic Life and Leadership, also seen as a, sort of conservative think tank in the middle of campus.
And we've seen those two bodies kind of go at odds, especially when it came to Pryor and Belichick. We played his soundbite earlier where he talked about, hey, if you don't like what I did, I'll let him fill in the rest. But, this was something that the school also took very seriously, and there was a change in the way that they work together.
Yeah, the UNC system, the people who oversee all the boards of trustees at all the universities, public schools across the state, rebuked the Board of Trustees at UNC after the Belichick hiring. In fact, stripped some of their authority to deal with athletic matters, and that's because, at least from the outside, it was seen as Pryor really overstepping his bounds in trying to get UNC to hire Bill Belichick. He both talked to Mike Lombardi, talked to Bill Belichick as a member of the search committee, outside of the search committee, may have even negotiated a little bit of the contract with them. He denies that, of course, but Lee Roberts eventually is the ultimate decision maker. He made the decision to hire Bill Belichick, but John Pryor's role in that will never be forgotten.
Pryor was a big voice, an influential voice for many years on that Board of Trustees. What happens now? Are we going to notice any type of change, or will they kind of go back behind the scenes for a little bit?
I don't think so. The board is made up of lots of guys, not just John Pryor, who like to talk and like to get their point of view across. Marty Kotis, Jim Blaine are two that most of our viewers probably haven't heard of, but who often make their voices heard in these meetings. Malcolm Turner is the new chair, and maybe he'll be able to slide a little bit under the radar, but the Board of Trustees at UNC, obviously a high-profile school, always in the news.
All right. Thanks, Murph.
Thank you.
And we did talk to Pryor for about an hour about his decision to hire Belichick and everything that followed. You can hear more from him in our documentary, Coaching Carolina, The Belichick Way. It is anywhere you stream WRAL and on the WRAL YouTube page. You know, few things can make family gatherings more awkward faster than talking politics. It seems everyone gets boxed into whoever they voted for, and suddenly they are the flag waver for everything that person has ever done or said. Well, tonight, we're going to address some feedback from a viewer. Next, we dive into challenging people within your own party and agreeing with those who aren't. We have talked a lot about some of the topics you've sent into the 7 p.m. inbox over the last couple of weeks. And tonight I wanted to tackle a subject that seems to really resonate with a lot of you: party politics. Last week, some people wrote in after our coverage on the elected judges and district attorneys under the microscope after the murder of a Raleigh teacher by a man with a long criminal record and a history of mental illness. Some viewers were upset with us for outlining that all of those leaders were elected Democrats. And I got this voice message.
Dan, I'm one of your, I used to be one of your biggest fans, but I've never been so disappointed in my life with anybody. If you would identify all the people that are involved in the problems as Democrats, don't we have enough problems in this country without you adding to them?
So this really struck a chord with me, and not really because it misunderstands journalism and what we do, but because it highlights something that I notice a lot in the 7 p.m. inbox, this polarized allegiance to party, this idea that a critique of a party member is somehow a critique of you, as if every Republican is united in one fight and every Democrat is united in another. And it makes sense because many politicians want you to believe that. But this is not true, not even close. And I'll show you. These are quotes from a debate in 2019 on the topic of civil liberties, government surveillance, and security. One candidate says, we must deregulate surveillance powers and protect privacy rights from government overreach. The other said, we can't let civil liberties impede our efforts to keep Americans safe. So which party said which? Two very different takes on government surveillance. One focused on freedoms, the other on national security. And both are from Republicans. This was Bill Weld, former Republican governor from Massachusetts, and Joe Walsh, a former Tea Party congressman in a presidential primary. Put yourself in their shoes. You consider the topic. Do you think the government should be able to tap our phones and track us? Just saying, I vote Republican, isn't an answer. Here's another on corporate power and monopolies. One candidate said, a handful of corporations control too much of our economy and our politics. The other said, big tech and corporate monopolies are strangling competition and workers. But to this you say, Dan, those people are virtually saying the same thing. They are united under their party's ideals. Except, gotcha, because the first one was from Democrat Bernie Sanders, and the other was from Republican Josh Hawley. Two ranking members from two different parties with the same perspective on major companies and their influence. If both parties were united with both of them, we'd see some major changes, wouldn't we? But we don't. Those huge companies still reign supreme, perhaps because not everyone in each party shares the same ideas or goals. One more. This one's on affordable college. One candidate said public education should be tuition-free, just like public high school. The other said, I don't think taxpayers should subsidize college for families who can afford to pay. One wants taxpayers to pay for everybody to go to college. The other doesn't. And both are Democrats. That was Elizabeth Warren and Pete Buttigieg in the 2020 Democratic primary. Now, you can be a Democrat, but you can't agree with both of them on how to make college more affordable. This resonated with a viewer named Angela. She said, I agree that sometimes you can be critical within your own party. That is exactly how I feel. I have issues with the party I am in and am honest about the glaring problems we have. You see, the party you most align with isn't a single thing. It's many things. It's fluid. It's made up of different ideas and priorities and perspectives. And those ebb and flow in and out of significance based on you and how you vote. I mean, think of it like this. Democrats once ran on tough on-crime policies, right? Bill Clinton signed the 1994 crime bill. But today, many Democrats argue that mass incarceration itself is a problem. Many tried to defund the police. Democrats also once opposed same-sex marriage, including Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton, until voters and activists inside the party pushed for a change. Republicans, meanwhile, have spent decades arguing that power should stay with the states. That was the rallying cry behind overturning Roe versus Wade. But many of those same leaders now support strong federal action when it comes to immigration enforcement, even in states that disagree. You can't just say, I'm a Democrat or I'm a Republican and then call it a day. You also can't be so focused on the other party that you forget to care about your own. And now is a really good time to express that because it is primary season here in North Carolina. We have it all outlined for you on our website. And we have special rights here in our state of North Carolina. If you are an unaffiliated voter, you can pick which primary you vote in. Not every state lets you do that. And since certain parties really don't stand a chance in the general election in some areas, it is often the primary that decides who your leaders are. So if you lean right and you live in a heavily Democratic area, you can vote in the Democratic primary. If you lean left and you're in a heavily Republican one, same deal. You have a say, but you have to use your voice. Remember, and this part is important, parties aren't teams. I know a lot of politicians want you to think that way because it helps them. They're tools. You get what I mean. The parties are tools. And tools only work if you pick them up and use them. Keep sending those emails, 7 p.m. at WRAL.com. Your voice has power here. It is a tool that will work for you. We are listening. Tell us what's on your mind, and we will discuss it here at 7 o'clock, 7 p.m. at WRAL.com. Let's send things over to Kat Campbell.
It is cold outside tonight, Dan. 18 degrees, our forecast low. The Arctic air is here. You need your heaviest coat tonight and tomorrow. The wind chill today, it was rough. 20 degrees is the current wind chill in Roxborough. An actual air temp of 28. It's 31 in the Triangle, but feeling like 21 tonight. Feels like 26 in Fayetteville. So if you've got to take your dog out before you head to bed tonight for a quick in and out, it's going to be pretty frigid. Town by town, we dropped to 16 in Roxborough, 17 in Durham, 18 in Raleigh, as well as Goldsboro and Fayetteville. Skies are clear. The air is dry tonight. We've got everything we need for a cold night. And then our attention shifts to Sunday. So let me get right to the three questions that people are asking the most on social media. The impacts from Sunday's system. Will travel be disrupted? As of right now, that risk is low. I don't think that you need to reroute any of your travel plans at this point. We'll let you know if there are any updates to that tomorrow. And of course, you can check in with meteorologist Mike Mays tonight at 11 o'clock for the updates. Sledding, snowman building, not looking likely with this go round, so I wouldn't get your kids' hopes up. The big storm and the big one for our area is unlikely with this setup. High pressure is close to Texas. You want it to be to the north for a big one, and you want this area of low pressure to perfectly ride along the coast. The trend today is that there is a bit more moisture, low pressure shifting inland a bit, but the cold air is delayed because of that here. So we may see this start as a brief wintry mix Sunday and then change over to a lot of rain in our area. We need any rain we can get, though, with the drought. Sunday morning, here's a closer look at temperatures, 5 a.m. Some of this precipitation already arriving, but because it's getting here faster, the cold air hasn't sped up at all, so it's kind of beating the cold air in. 32 in Roxborough, so if we can get this precip to make it far enough to the northwest, maybe a little bit of snow up there initially. By 8 a.m., you can see maybe a better chance in our northwestern cities, but it's a brief blip and a brief time period, and temperatures aren't in the upper 20s. They're in the low 30s. While they're below freezing, for things to really stick to the grounds, the roads, and create issues out there, it needs to be in the upper 20s, especially those road temps. So impacts would likely be limited. 3 o'clock, we're sitting above freezing, cold rain. And then as we look ahead to the evening, here's that freezing line, that blue line. So anything that's left over may change over to see some snowflakes mix in. And there is still a winter weather potential this weekend. Overall, it looks like a low impact event, though.
Our one last thing tonight is actually a follow-up to something we talked about last night. You might have heard of these traveling monks coming across the country to make a call for peace, and they're currently in North Carolina. They've been traveling with a dog named Aloka that they rescued years ago, but Aloka needed surgery, needed a break, and has been away. Well, today, Aloka reunited with his group as they trekked through Charlotte. It's not permanent. There's still a lot of rehab to follow, but at least for today, the tail was wagging. The monks had their companion back, and this abnormal trip had a bit of normalcy. Those monks, again, are expected in Raleigh sometime next week. You can stay updated on WRAL.com. We'll let you know where they are and when they'll be here. Thank you for making WRAL your choice for local news. Continue to use that email, 7 p.m. at WRAL.com, to tell us what you want to see on this 7 o'clock newscast. Our next newscast is at 10 o'clock on Fox 50 and again at 11 back here on WRAL. We will see you then. Until then, have a great night.
Watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.